Welcome to another edition of the Coach Daboll Show presented by Ford. I'm Bob Papa. The Giants take on the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. We got a great show lined up for you. Sean O'Hara is going to go one-on-one. Bruce Beck in the locker room. Carl Banks with the strategy. Now, we recorded the body of this show prior to the news breaking that Jackson Dart will be the starting quarterback for the Giants. I'd like to welcome in two-time Super Bowl champion Carl Banks. And Carl, your thoughts on the Giants making the move to the rookie quarterback here in the fourth game of the season?
Well, it's the beginning of a new era. We knew it would eventually come, and I think just looking from a 3-game sample, you get 1 game of explosive offense, and then when they need more points against better teams, they just weren't getting it. And that doesn't mean that Russell Wilson's not going to be contributing, right? He is still 1 injury away from being the starting quarterback again. But I think they need the spark, they need the athleticism, and just need a fresh look. And I think they drafted him to be the future of this team, and the future is now.
Let's listen to what Brian Daboll had to say when he addressed the media on Wednesday.
So in terms of the quarterback situation, I met both with Russ yesterday and Jackson privately, and Russ was nothing but a pro, which I would expect him to be. It's my decision. I'm going with Jackson. We're going to get him ready to play this week and the remainder of the season. He's going to do everything he can. Russ will be the backup. The conversations that I've had with these young men will be private. The details will be private. All I can tell you is we're going with Jackson, and we're getting ready to play.
All right, so now we'll continue on with the program as we welcome in Coach Daboll to the show. And here's how we got things started with Carl.
Well, Coach, it's another week, another chance to get better. There were some things that improved, and there are some things that's got to get better. So 24-hour rule, you get that one out of the way because this is a challenger, an opponent that's pretty good.
Yeah, 3-0 to start the season against a bunch of division teams. They've won some close ones. They've played on the road down in South America. They're battle tested here. They have a good young quarterback who's playing at a high level, and a defense that's playing well. Coach Harbaugh's done this for a long time. He's got 2 really good coordinators with Greg Roman and Jesse Mintor, and they're playing good football.
Yeah, let's talk about them defensively, Coach, because Minter seems to be all over the field, right? I mean, as far as what he's doing, and then you have a piece of the puzzle like Derwin James to move all over the place. Is he one of those guys you have to identify at all times where he is, a la an Ed Reed or a Polamalu or one of those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a fantastic player. He's very gifted, skill set wise, instinctive. I remember back when I was at Alabama, getting ready to play Florida State in the opener and putting on Florida State tape, and there was Derwin James everywhere, whether it was coverage, whether it was blitzing, and he's taking that right to the NFL, and each year he seems to improve, and they put him in a number of spots which make it challenging. He's a good blitzer, he's a good cover player, instinctive zone player. He's one of the top in the league.
Coach, the quarterback is one of those guys who, if you don't really pay attention, you don't realize he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. He really does everything well, including with his legs.
Yeah, he's got great size. He's got great mobility. I think they've opened up the offense quite a bit. This early part of the season, they play, with 10 personnel, which is 4 wide receivers, with 20 personnel, which is no tight ends. And they switch personnels, I'd say, on a consistent basis more than probably any team in the league from play to play. And then when he's operating and dishing, he's good in the quick game, the action game, extending plays, using his legs. He's got size, he's got vision. He's an excellent quarterback.
So they suffered a big loss losing Najee Harris, but Hampton, the rookie out of North Carolina, really provides a lot of physicality, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was a good player in college. He's got good size, he's got speed, he's tough. You put the tape on, and he's usually breaking a tackle on almost every play when he runs with the football. He's done a good job in their pass protection. And I've known Najee. Prayers to him and his family. That's a tough injury for him, but he's certainly a good player. He's a good young player, and he's shown it these first few weeks.
Coach, can you give us one thing that you when you talk to the team, you say we must blank in order to have a chance to win this week?
Yeah, we got to do a good job of taking care of the football. We got to improve on our third downs. It's hard to score points when you're having to punt and you're not converting third downs or creating explosives. Got to do a better job, particularly in the second half, of limiting some of those third downs, tight coverage, make some pass breakups, and then ultimately execute on offense in that third down area, and then convert in the red zone. So, situational football will be big in this game, like it always is.
Coach, we wish you the best of luck this week.
Thanks, guys.
That's the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll. When we come back, Coach and Carl go to the film room for Above the X's and O's here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. 6-0 Chiefs, 1:49 to go in the half. 1st and 10 at the Kansas City 13. Wilson over center this time. Hands it off for Scadaboo, up the middle, cuts left, he's to the 5, to the goal line. Did he get in? No signal yet. Touchdown Giants! Cam Scadaboo on a 13-yard run with 1:44 to go in the half. And the game is tied at 6 with the extra point pending. 7 plays, 70 yards for the Giants. Scadaboo with his second touchdown of the season.
EA, energy up right now.
In back-to-back weeks, Cam Scadaboo gets into the end zone as we welcome you back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Time to go inside the film room for the extra effort, Above the X's and O's. Here's Carl Banks with Coach Daboll.
All right, Coach, let's take a look at some of the positive plays from the weekend. Defense fought very tough, kept a high-scoring team down, and here's one of the plays that really showed just the effort of the defense.
Yeah, I thought the defense improved from week 2 to week 3 and did a lot of good things. Did a good job in the running game. Limit their explosive plays. Got hit on a couple scramble plays, which we worked on, and Mahomes made some great plays. But here's a great example of a 2nd and longer situation, which this team was a little bit of a get back on track team, which means they're just trying to get something going to make it either short, 3rd and shorter, or they're going to catch and run on a 2nd down. So we got man-to-man coverage, and they used a variety of jet motion this week, where they're motioning the receiver across the formation in a fast manner. And we're really man-to-man here with Drew covering Kelsey, Daboll running across with the jet motion, Flott down here, and we're cheated over a little bit this side. They got a 4-strong concept, and they're trying to influence the defense over to the defensive right, the offensive left. We have a 5-man pressure with Abdul. Again, Abdul played some inside linebacker for us based on where we were numbers-wise. I thought he did a good job for his first game when we asked him to do that as a young player. So 5-man rush, and Nubin just does a really good job of being disciplined, keying his player, number 83, who he has in man-to-man, and having good awareness of the situation of the 2nd and long, of the get back on track mentality. So he goes ahead and beats Creed to the junction point on the screen and gets a tackle for a loss to make it 3rd and long.
And that's important because when you're in man-to-man, the numbers are on the opposite side of the hash mark here. So he's got to be really cognizant of leverage as well as, not losing his guy and getting blocked here.
Absolutely, because you can see right here, Carl, if he doesn't make that play and take care of his responsibility, they flooded the pattern over to the other side of football, and there's a lot of space over here for a big play to happen for them. But credit to Newman, good eye discipline. He has them in man-to-man. He stays with them. He doesn't get influenced by the block and makes a really good play for us on 2nd and long to make it 3rd and long.
All right, now let's take a look at the other side of the football. You had an injury, but you just kind of stepped up with the rookie Cam Scadaboo, and the run game seems to have gotten on track here.
Yeah, something that we want to continue to emphasize and build on is the ability to control the line of scrimmage, particularly as we get closer to the goal line. We're in a bunch set. You can see they have a loaded box, so there's a lot of guys up. As we knew they were going to disguise some, so they're disguising with the safety who's going to back up. We got a flash play, which is taking belly from one side of the formation to the backside, which at times, can create some run fit issues for the defense. We also have Wandell coming over here on a ghost and faking a reverse to try to influence this extra defender in the box and pull him out. you can see it. We got double teams. The ball's getting downhill with Scat. They have a run-through linebacker. Greg does a good job of coming off of him. The footwork and the shoulders by 44 really allows him to see this space. The finish by Runyon down the field and the cut by Scat. It was a well-executed run play. It was good running. It was good blocking. It was good design. And we need more of these.
Now, Coach, one player I see here that is crucial to this, but it kind of gets lost. Your wide receiver. If he doesn't get to the second level here and just tie this guy up, when Daboll gets through the hole, that's a clean tackle.
Yeah, absolutely. And the receivers are big parts of the run game. And they just got to go in there and do a good enough job of holding the guy up for a second. As you can see, Malik does. And that just holds him that split second where he can't come off and make this play. So playing well in the red zone will go a long way for improvement in points on offense. And we need more of this.
We're just getting started on the program. When we come back, Sean O'Hara joins us with his one-on-one. All that and more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Kayvon Thibodeaux is off to a really fast start in 2025. He goes one-on-one with Sean O'Hara, presented by the New York Lottery.
Thanks, Bob. All right, we're down here on the field, one-on-one right now with Kayvon Thibodeaux. All right, I love watching you with the one arms now and how you're stabbing offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. What has been different for you this year with your hands?
I would say time on task. For me, I kind of look at, I think it's a Bruce Lee quote, and he says, you don't fear the man who can throw 1,000 kicks one time. You fear the man who can throw one kick 1,000 times. So for me, just hone in on my craft, working my moves, and, continue to just, develop.
So what were some of the drills that you did this offseason to kind of master? You're calling it a kick.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a kick.
But it's a stab,
it's a stab, your hands.
Yeah. I would say, I can kind of walk you through it.
Okay, let's.
First, your approach. I kind of sit, and it depends on where I'm at. I laugh with like Burns and other guys in the room because we get 1,000 swipes. Yeah, you can be my tackle here. Yeah, you can be my left tackle. You just do 1,000 stabs. So as I'm sitting here, I'm just practicing, just seeing it, right? Boom. Boom, and I'm keeping my kind of offhand prepared. So, a lot of times you'll see me stab, and when they shoot, you can kind of grab it, I can lift it,
right?
I can throw it by and step through. But my main focus, is I got to stab that inside chest,
right?
So that the edge is shortened and that I can get them off their anchor foot, which is that inside one. And then once I get it long, if he sits down, I can counter. Mm-hmm. Boom. If he shoots his hand, boom, I can stab it, I can lift it, kind of keep giving myself a two-way go.
When I know you're going to come in and stab, right? So I'm feeling you hit right there. Yep. Now I'm trying to punch you right here.
Yep.
The worst thing that can happen is what you just did to my wrist, right? So he's not swiping the hand. You're grabbing the wrist. That's wrist control. Once you get control of that wrist, I can't replace it.
Yeah, now his feet gets high.
And now I can't, now you're getting the edge.
Now we get off. Boom.
If you get wrist control. So I'm trying to get that hand back in action.
Yep.
But it's interesting that you mentioned that right hand. What that does is shorten the corner. As soon as I feel you hit that, so now I anchor a little bit because I'm bracing that bull rush,
and now it
stops my feet.
Exactly.
So then you also did a little wrestling in the offseason. I know you talked about that a little bit. I feel like that has really helped when maybe the first move it doesn't work, and now all of a sudden we're engaged, and now we're into it, and now you're going inside hands. So against the Chiefs, use that inside hand, and you kind of threw him.
So
how did you? Was that just a feel? You just kind of felt his body getting the outside?
It definitely is a feel, but I would also say, so sometimes let's just say I'm going with my stab and I'm going club or I'm going for the grab, and sometimes they go wide.
Right.
So you miss, and they stay with you, and when they miss,
you're riding her up.
Now you got to be strong with that inside to be able to counter off that inside leg, or really be outside leg. And now most of the time when you got a bigger dude, once he gives you this, he can't get back here. So once you get him here, you just keep him there and, go from here to the stab, come through.
Gotcha.
Finish on the counter.
KT, thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Go get the Chargers, all right?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go ice my chest. Back to you, Bob.
Good stuff as always, Sean. When we come back on the program, we'll hear from the locker room with Bruce Beck, plus Carl Banks with strategy. All that and more here on the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. Welcome back to the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford. On Sunday, it's the Giants and Chargers at MetLife Stadium. For more on Big Blue, let's send it over to Bruce Beck.
Bob, when there's big changes with the Giants, it makes sense to go to this man, Captain Darius Slayton. Well, what do you make of the change?
Yeah, you know, it's, they went Jackson Dart as a quarterback going forward, and we're going to get on the same page with him and be ready to go Sunday.
What do you think of Dart's ability as a quarterback?
I think he's got all the tools you need to be a good quarterback in this league. You know, he's young, athletic, he's got a rocket-powered arm, and, you know, he's a fast processor. So, you know, I think he'll do well.
Have you told him that you want the ball?
Nah, I mean, every receiver, you know, wants the ball, but, you know, at the end of the day, I want to win. So, you know, ultimately, I want him to get back there and make good decisions and throw to the guy that's open. And I plan on being the guy that's open. So.
Finally, do you think this ball club will be energized with this change?
Yeah, I think the fan base will be energized, which will bring energy into the stadium, and, you know, hopefully we'll be able to feed off of that and get some wins rolling.
Now it's time for Strategy with Carl Banks. It's brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. And Carl, we're going to take a look at the Chargers, who are 3-0, 3-0 in their division, and their quarterback in his second year under Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert's playing at a really high level.
He is, Bob. And Justin Herbert he's a big, strong guy. They talk about all of these elite quarterbacks in the league. He is right there with them. He's mobile. He's got a beautiful arm, and he's very accurate. And you'll see how he improvises here. Let's just take a look as he scrambles. We'll take the first look at the offensive line. So they have a breakdown. He steps up into the pocket. Now look, he's knocked off balance, doesn't fall down. So that's contact balance, eyes back down the field. Now he's throwing this football off balance all the way across the field here. Now I'm gonna circle this receiver all the way here in the back. Let me just go back and just take a look. Where this play breaks down, all of his receivers are here. What you have to do as a defensive back, once you see a scramble, you've got to lock in, because watch what happens. He uncovers, and he's the only guy. The other receivers are just kind of standing here. This play is dead, all but for one player. He uncovers, and the quarterback just makes an improbable throw.
Yeah, you know, that's Keenan Allen. He and Herbert had played together. Allen spent last year in Chicago, so they have like that rapport between them, and that's why he's one of the great receivers, because he was not supposed to go here originally, but instincts, Carl.
He just literally uncovers. This is either a scramble for most quarterbacks or it's a throwaway. So Keenan Allen is the safety valve.
Carl, obviously Herbert is unbelievably athletic. Now, they lost Najee Harris to a season-ending injury last week, but Hampton, the rookie out of North Carolina, is powerful, he's fast, and they can really use him in a lot of different ways. He's their leading rusher.
Yeah, he's got great vision, Bob, but they run this outside zone, and he can go anywhere, and it's not just going to stay on the side of the run. So you'll see all the running just stretch. He'll take this ball, and he'll go just about anywhere with it. So as a middle linebacker, you cannot overcommit when this ball is snapped and it goes in one direction here. Let's just take a look. Now, everything is going this way, but your middle linebacker has already taken himself out of the play. Looks like they've got it bottled in. Watch what he does. Just runs right through the hole. Middle linebacker can't get off the block. Right where he would have been, the middle linebacker overruns, and this literally comes right through the gap where the middle linebacker should be, but he over pursues it, and then he's off to the races.
All right, let's talk about the Chargers defensively, their ability to get pressure up front.
Bob, there's nothing special about this other than you got special guys rushing. They're rushing 4 guys. You got 5 guys to block them. Actually, you have 6 to block them if you count the tight end. And just here, it's 1, 2, 3, and a guy on the outside there. Just watch what happens on the inside. It's just a twist. The entire line breaks down. So you've got to be really good on your blocks. And here's the center. Watch the center here. He gets a double team, so he's thinking he's pushing it to the guard, but he comes right back in, gets picked. So you really got to communicate, and you have to pass these things off because, again, he's just going in. He thinks he's helping the guard, but he's actually picking himself for a guy to come back around. That
Strategy with Carl Banks brought to you by Microsoft Copilot. All right, Carl. Obviously, the big news, Jackson Dart's going to start. We saw him play a lot in the preseason, a lot of energy, a lot of athleticism, a guy that ran in college. He's going against a really good defense. What are some of the keys for him early in this game?
Well, it's basically center, QB exchange, making sure the protections are right, and then the game will just become his. He's a quarterback. He's a gamer, right? So once you get the basics down, the exchange, the snap counts, and then he just plays football. And that becomes a problem for the defense. Now you've got to prepare for a guy who could do just about anything with the football. And now they're not a static offense. It's not the offense that you prepared for last week. You got to go all the way back to preseason, and then you got to say, okay, what else can they do to us based on what we saw from him in preseason? So it gives the Chargers a little more to prepare for.
There'll be a lot of excitement in the building this week. This week's game is presented by PNC Private Bank, the official wealth management partner of the New York Giants. So for Carl Banks, Coach Daboll, Sean O'Hara, Bruce Beck, and our entire crew, I'm Bob Papa. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Coach Daboll Show, presented by Ford.